What's up, everybody? Jump in. Today's going to be the first day of our daily lives. 6 p.m. We're going to go for about a half hour, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, something like that. But every day at 6 p.m., we're going to start tapping into the lives, okay? We're going to go across YouTube. We're going to go across Rumble. We're going to go across X. These platforms are the areas where long format discussion is more received. I want to make sure that everybody can chat in. If you chop it up and jump in and chop it up. If you're in the chat, ask questions, all that other good stuff. Now, obviously, guys, we don't have the budget that some of these bearded Cyclops, what's up, brother? We don't have the budget that some of these bigger companies have. We don't. We are a Second Amendment organization, Black Guns Matter. We are a community center, the Solutionary Center, and we do this work around the country. So all of your super chats, questions, all that other good stuff will 1,000% be supported, appreciated for the support and going towards the work. Obviously, down there's the link, givesyngo.com/solutionary. You can donate there, or you can do a super chat. If you got questions and all that other type of stuff, ask them there. Really, really dope questions. Absolutely, the super chats are 100% going to get carte blanche. But if you got those questions, tap them in there. Also, guys, do me a huge favor. Whatever platform you're watching this on, share it, repost it, put it all over the place. Hit the like button. Let's get the energy up. The algorithms like the like button. I'm in essence going into the space of being pundit or a podcaster or whatever that is. But the reality is we need to communicate with the people every single day, because those people that have bigger platforms are 1,000%. They have the resources to give you information, but it takes them a little bit longer. They can give you the information in a perspective that's not in alignment with liberty values. It's not in alignment with conservative values. And that's not what we're going to do in Solutionary. So again, guys, every Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be here on the Solutionary feed. All right, 6 p.m. Real quick, guys, I want to say something. We're in here talking about this Diddy situation. If you didn't see, I posted a a post on my Instagram and this YouTube channel. All right, and it talks about what Diddy taught me. Real quick, I want to pull something up real quick. So ride with me for 1 second. I want to pull something up here real quick. But anyway, guys, the importance of there we go. Bearded Cyclops said, what's your take on the Kamala comment about going into homes and checking for proper gun storage? That's an excellent question. It's an excellent question. It's an excellent question, guys. Kamala Harris is just, in essence, saying what she was thinking the whole time, and we all knew. That's it. That's what she did. She basically turned around and said, I'm going to see if I can pull that up. She basically said the opposite of the opposite. So if you guys watch the debates, she told Donald Trump, she said, myself and Wentz, or whatever his name is, Vance, whatever, we are gun owners. Nobody's trying to take your guns. Literally 2-3 days later, the assault weapons ban conversation, which is taking somebody's guns. There's video from a while back of her having the discussion with somebody, I can't remember who it is, and she was saying that the gun buybacks would be mandatory. She does this flip-flop thing. Now, when I did Gun Talk with Judge Joe Brown, he brought up an excellent point. He brought up the point that was she's suffering from an early version of onset dementia. That's why the awkward cackle happens. And he gave it an excellent breakdown. If you guys haven't checked that out, go check it out. But he broke that down and gave it a perspective that I didn't look at. He was like, you know, she can't stick to a sentence. She repeats the same words. And he's like, these are the early clarifications of or a diagnosis of somebody that has an early onset Alzheimer. And I started to think that would be great because Biden had, and obviously was suffering from that. That's something that the general public or the puppeteers could 1,000%, that person becomes malleable. We've seen her back in the day communicate much more sharp. I want to be very clear. She wasn't always this dippy or always looked like she was, you know, alcoholic, right? She didn't communicate. Same thing with Nancy Pelosi. They didn't communicate this dippy earlier on in their career. They didn't. And so when she was saying these things earlier about, I want to ban, you know, ban assault weapons and things like that, or don't believe that we won't come into your house, that's an older one. Now she's on the campaign trail, and this is always the danger of listening to politicians on the campaign trail. They have a perspective. that, you know, we get to say the opposite as if nobody else is recording it. Like, I can't record what you said on Tuesday on this station or in this city, and then record what you said on Thursday on this station or in this city, and it's the exact opposite. They have a level of megalomania and high egoism that makes them think that nobody's paying attention. And then when you do bring that up to the forefront, everybody acts like you're hating. And it's not that you're hating, you're looking for an intellectual consistency. So my take on, I'm gonna put this up here on the screen. My take on Kamala's comment about going into homes and checking for proper gun storage, she gonna FAFO, okay? And that's something that she said when over in Cali. I think she was standing up there with Gavin Newsom or something of that nature. I just don't think these people are serious. I think these people are serious to be taken serious in the sense of their puppet masters 1000% are using them to those aims. And that's something to be taken serious, okay? But they are not serious in the sense of we should be respecting these people. Let me be clear before I make that statement. They are to be taken serious because the general public, a lot of people are very unintelligent. They are very ignorant as it relates to certain issues. And that level of ignorance is something that you can't sleep on. This is how Trump won the first time in 2016, okay? He won that because of the fact that nobody really took him serious, okay? He was like Chip Kelly in the Eagles when his first season there as a head coach. He had that hurry-up offense and nobody had an answer for it. Now, that second season, everybody's paying attention to it because you got everybody's attention, okay? And I think that this is what happened with Trump, and we can't make that same mistake with Kamala. Don't think just because Biden is horrible and nobody liked Kamala for 3 years, 3 and some change, that somehow that means she's a walk in the park. No, that means our political adversaries are 1000% going to pull out all of the stops to make sure that they can cheat. Every single person, every illegal, unlawful person, come on through. Get them the paperwork. Let's work with California. Let's work with Texas. Let's get them in here. They're going to pull out all of the stops. And you see the media working overtime. In less than a month, they've attempted to make this person look as if they are likable or anybody like them. So never underestimate in that sense, right? Again, guys, the question here is, what's my take on the Kamala Harris's comment about going into homes and checking for proper gun storage? This is not a person to be taken lightly because they have puppet masters. Geppetto is the person that's least talked about. Pinocchio get the headline. Pinocchio get the main billboard. Geppetto isn't discussed, but there is no Pinocchio without Geppetto. So don't sleep on those people in that regard, all right? As it relates to her conversation of the flip-flop and as it relates to she's anti-gun, everybody understands that. Nobody should be tricked into believing or thinking that any politician that has espoused anti-gun policies, especially if they're a Democrat, for a very long time, you should never get tricked into the belief during a campaign trail that somehow they've stalled a life. I've said the same thing about RFK Jr. RFK Jr. was 1000% anti-gun. 1000% anti-gun. I don't think because he changes some of his talking points, and this does not mean that I can't agree with him on some other perspectives and other things. I'm not. That doesn't mean that. But as it relates to the Second Amendment, you've been too long and too well steeped in the anti-gun, forged in those fires. And I need a reason of what made you see the light. And it's not just because I'm on a campaign trail. That's nothing. You know that you're going to lose a big section of the country if you don't at least pretend to have a backstep. But I don't believe in their backsteps. So as far as her, it's the same thing. She's saying more of what she's saying and placating to each room. When she was talking to America at the debate, she says, no one's going to take our guns. And all of the anti-gunners always say that. Oh, I'm a gun owner. The skinny kid, what's his name? What's this kid's name? David Hall. He says it all the time. Me and my father are gun owners. We this, that, and the third, and yada, 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 yada. I don't care. All of that cat is just what it is. It's cat. And do not fall for it. Until they start pushing legislation that's pro-gun, they're anti-gun. And she just flip-flops. And if you've been paying attention long enough, you've seen her flip-flops to know what her actual core is. Super Weapon says, when the enemy is on the ground, you have to finish him. Bobby Axelrod, respect your enemies, but don't get lazy and assume they're weak and dumb, then vilify. That's 100%. None of these people are people that I'm taking lightly because the machine behind them. You know, if it was just a straight-up debate and a conversation, even the pearls that she wore, there was some rumor that the pearls that she wore at the actual debate doubled as walkie-talkies. So I'm not upset at her trick and not acknowledging the fact that they'll go through great lengths to put pearl earrings on somebody and feed them information. And if you notice, at that particular debate, she spoke much more fluently and on point and on, like, I think in that debate, Trump actually underestimated her. And we can't underestimate these people. They are well-funded, organized, egomaniacal narcissists. It is what it is. What's up, Bookworm? So my point here, guys, is sidebar, everybody. You coming in the chat, we got 106, 117 people in here. For the first one, that's pretty good. Again, guys, this is Solutionary. We will be chopping it up with you every day, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. So we're going to talk about the day's topics, culture, all that other good stuff. If you guys can support the content with super chats, questions, all of that energy, the donation link is right there. All of that information goes to our work. I want to communicate and share what my perspective is with you all, but we still got to make sure that we're turning all of these things into something that's beneficial for our community. The work is the answer. The work is the answer, whether that's civics, whether that's firearms basics, whether that's understanding imminent threat. Okay? Speaking of understanding imminent threat, that class is tomorrow. What's up? I'm D.A. Brown. How are you? Somebody says, is there a solution? Are there classes tonight or tomorrow? Okay, so tomorrow there is a understanding imminent threat class. I'll need everybody in here to be in that class tomorrow. And I'm going to go into the topic right here, the Diddy situation. Now that we got some folks in here, again, guys, if you're coming in, let's get the likes up. Hit the like button, hit the like button, hit the like button, hit the like button. If you're watching on X, what's up? If you're watching on Rumble, what's up? Hit the like button, hit the like button, hit the like button. Rumble is rumble.com/Maj2Ray. X is Maj2Ray999. Repost, share, like, and all that other good stuff. Tomorrow is understanding imminent threat. Very important class. If you are not a gun owner, if you're not sure if you want to be a gun owner, this is a class that you definitely should take because it has very little to do with firearms per se. It has more to do with situational awareness. It has more to do with, as we'll go into the conversation today, as we're talking about Diddy. For those of y'all that's tapping in, we're going to get to the Diddy conversation. For those of y'all that are tapping in for that, we're talking about situational awareness is where were you putting your drink? Okay? You was out at the club. You took a sip. You dropped that drink down. And in the process of dropping that drink down, you turned your back and started Diddy bopping. And somebody just slipped you a Mickey. That's horrible scenario, horrible situational awareness 101. And in that video that I posted up today talking about that, some people, we anticipated some people being upset that I said, if you get roofied, it's somewhat your fault. Somewhat. Because we're not victim blaming. But ironically, most of the people in the comment section are like, absolutely, 100% accountability. This does not mean that we're saying that you deserve it or the other person is in a scumbag. This just means you need to be paying attention in classes and scenarios where you know what's happening with your scenario and your surroundings. So if I take that sip and I'm dancing and doing all of these other things, okay, and in that process, somebody slips me a Mickey, I have to take some sort of accountability for that. No different than I say the same thing about women, young ladies that want to just wear whatever they want to wear and neck it halfway and be, so-called wasted, white girl wasted, black girl wasted, whatever it is, and think that because they're just women that nobody should touch them. They're right. Nobody should, but the bad guys may, okay? And you got to take that certain level of accountability into account. So saying this to say that class tomorrow, understanding imminent threat, is something that's very important for that. Very important. How, and I want y'all to join the class. The classes are going to be $20 until October the 1st. They're online classes. You get a PDF to come right to you. The curriculum is yours, right? You get your questions answered. I teach the class. My point in saying this is the price is going to go up to $50 October the 1st. Book a class now. Tap in for tomorrow's class. Somebody type in the link. If somebody can, Bookworm, if you can, type the link to the Understanding Imminent Threat class, and I'll make sure I'll post it up there so you guys in the chat so everybody can get it, okay? But while we're waiting for that, let's go into the Diddy situation because I know that's what a lot of you are here for, okay? I personally, now this may come off harsh, guys, and I want y'all to really, really understand where I'm coming from with this, okay? I personally do not care what adults do. This joke, I posted about it with the Dave Chappelle video. This joke about You know, them saying they found 1,000 bottles of baby oil. It's the government. I don't know if that's true. I wasn't there. But the joke is funny and all that other good shit. All right, cool. That was fun. Cool. I don't care if you want to slather yourself with butter, baby oil, shea butter, coconut oil, and adults are in alignment with that. Cool. The argument that somehow full-grown adults got on a plane with somebody that they were all agreeing to take drugs with. Now, again, there's arguments in this case or charges that he coerced some of these people and he threatened them and all that other good stuff. I think that that's wrong, but I don't believe in threats. I don't believe in threats. It's not a thing to me. I don't think that somebody can say, Maj, you better slurp. Like a big Debo motherfucker comes up to me and says, Maj, you handsome. I want some of that. And if you don't, I'm going to hit you. I don't care about your threat. I legit do not care. I got some guns right here. Oh, I can't show guns on YouTube. I don't care. I'm not doing anything that you're telling me I got to do because you threaten me. That's not real. And that's my thought process. That may not be everybody else's thought process, okay? And since that's not everybody else's thought process, I give a little bit of grace to that space. Some people feel nervous or whatever, but I don't believe in threats. I don't believe in threats. I believe you should only be depressed for a little bit of time, and you should go do something to get out of that energy, change your energy. That's what I believe, okay? With that being the case, I understand that some people don't view it that way, but it needs to be down to brass tacks. So we got to separate those people that if he kidnapped somebody, actual kidnap. If he blew up somebody's car, actually blew it up, right? If he did all of these things, then the charges should be those. But a coercion, the federal government is not the people to be the moral authority on coercion. They spent like 2 years trying to coerce you into getting a jab, threatened your livelihood. These same people that's about to talk about Diddy said that if you didn't take a jab, if you didn't wear a mask, you would not be able to participate in society. That is coercion. That's coercion. And the federal government was complicit and promoting that. So they are not the moral standard for me to be like, oh, they just trying to catch the bad guys. They are the bad guys too, possibly. Okay? So I'm not in this game thinking that the federal government is altruistic. What's up? What's up, Simply Deep? I'm not thinking that the federal government is altruistic in this, in no way, shape, or form. I'm not foolish enough to think that the government they just want to do the right thing. I don't think that, okay? And we got to question all of these full-grown adults that was along for the ride, especially like those men that's like the security guards. You mean to tell me you guys 1,000% knew what Diddy was doing, and you kept the job and you kept quiet and you ran interference for him, and you expect me to give you some sort of love and a pat on the back after the fact because of the fact that you was just doing your job then? That's the Nuremberg defense, and I'm not okay with it. And the adult women that were like jet setting and now they're coming out the blue 20, 30 years later. No, y'all all took drugs. Y'all all knew what it was. And again, I'm specifically talking about the people that were willing. We don't know who these people were coerced or threatened. We don't know yet. It's a sealed indictment. Other than what the Attorney General of New York said, right? District Attorney, whatever. Whatever they said, we don't know was sealed in that indictment. Okay? But we do know that he offered $50 million in a house, which is a sidebar, because if you're a billionaire, why didn't you just make the bail in cash? But nonetheless, you do this thing and you go along with it. And now 20 years later, you want to scream bloody murder. I'm not here for those people. Okay? I'm not here for that. Now, I'm D.A. Brown says, the singer Aaron Hall tells the story of him having sex at those parties and how many people watch. If they're adults, that is freedom. They can do it. I think it's morally repugnant, but I'm not going to use the weight of the state to try to lock people up for them being freaks. Okay? Now, where I will give pushback is if there was, I'm going to blow your car up, Kid Cudi. I'm going to, or whatever his name, Wale, I'm going to hang you off a roof. Even though I think those men are cowards for allowing it to happen, I think that's what an actual crime is. Crime has to produce a victim, okay? Here are the people that I think were potential victims. And I'm not exonerating them of their involvement in it, okay? So Here's what my argument is. Here's what my argument is. If you hung somebody off of a balcony, as they allege he did to Wale, that story's been floating around for years. If you blew up Kid Cudi's car, if you forcibly kept somebody and kidnapped them, I don't mean you staying with me because you're in a relationship and y'all arguing you won't let her leave. I don't call that kidnapping. I'm careful with the words. But if it was actual kidnapping, arson, all that other stuff, charge him for those things. But this, you had sex with people and you recorded it. I'm not saying that that's scrupulous. It's unscrupulous. But I'm saying, like, if y'all knew that these were the things that were going on and you benefited from it and you gained some sort of prestige and power and position, all of those people should be out of the way. And here's lastly who I completely have the utmost empathy for. If there was underage girls, children, because that's what they are. If there was that, then okay, cool, hit them for that. But what it stands to me right now, from what I'm seeing the charges is, oh, you ran a continual criminal enterprise. And they trying to tie it into sex trafficking. Right, crime does have to produce a victim. It's a very important statement. If I willingly say, hey, I want this, and you say, cool, I'll give you this if you give me that. And I might not like it, but if I do it, that's called free exchange as adults. And I want people to stop relying on the government, letting people tap out of their individual accountability for what you participated in. It's not okay. It's not okay. So with that being the case, I want to focus on if there were teenage girls and boys. I want to focus on who actually got a victim status because their body or their property was harmed. That's rape. That's arson. That's actual kidnap. Those are the things that I think we should really, really focus on in this case. And that's what I'm interested in. Everything else, everybody talking about, oh, all of that hearsay. Now, I am interested in this. He may have had something to do with Kim Porter's death. I don't know how Kim Porter died. I think she died of like natural causes or something, or some weird like sickness or something. I'm not sure. Okay? If that happened, then he should be held accountable for that, or at least charged and whatever. But based on what I'm seeing right now, this shit looks flimsy. It looks like things that people can accuse you of because they seen Cassie got a bag and that's that. These are important conversations to discuss, and most people won't have them because if the media can paint somebody as a villain, and maybe they are morally repugnant to you. There's a difference between somebody that does things morally unscrupulous and people that violate people actually. Again, I gave the list of things that I think we should chase, but none of those cases said, again, the federal government saying sex trafficking. If I fly a girl from one state to another for the intent of us having a little threesome, getting a little freaky, if the government don't like me, they could call that sex trafficking. So they're not the moral authority, and I don't want everybody to get up in arms where we're giving more and more power to the state to just accuse people of things because he fell out of potentially fell out of the good graces of whoever. If you notice, all of this stuff started happening right after Super Weapons has a great point, and we're going to go into that next. Super Weapons says, I'm wondering if this Diddy thing is a distraction with the recent Fed news on interest rates. That could be that too, and other things. We're going to go into this Russia thing and all of that. But this is if, again, all things considered, we cannot hand over more and more power to the state because we've allowed the media to make this person look like the villain. Him being a freak and having 1,000 bottles of baby oil, that don't got shit to do with us. It got something to do with the consenting adults if they were consenting. And if we know, you got the Andrew Tate situation, who I don't fully agree with on a lot of his takes. He says some smart things here and there, right? But the Romanian government is hitting him with sex trafficking charges, and they can't even produce a person. You just get to say it. You just get to say it, and we got to be careful about that. If they can villainize one person, and again, this is not me going to bat for Diddy. I'm more so talking about how we are shaping this narrative and looking at it, okay? If you guys notice, all of this stuff started right after he started talking about his lawsuit with Diageo. Y'all remember that? He said the way that they handling this situation, and he was making money with the Ciroc shit. 50 Cent was at InvestFest, and he said Diddy was doing about $60 million a year. And 50 got a similar situation with Suntory. I think that's the name of their company, right? A distribution brand for like liquor and shit like that, right? So 50 says similarly, like when he started to go own DeLeon Tequila, now it goes from civil cases to criminal cases. And I'm concerned about that because that means there's rich and powerful people in the wine and spirits conversation room leaning into the political room. And even if y'all was down with it and y'all went to go hide the tapes and take the tapes and whatever, now you're going to try to get him for the criminal shit for things that adults did and now the general public, because as soon as you say sex trafficking, sex crimes, it's such a taboo topic that everybody stops using their objective brain. We cannot allow that part. This is not a fucking indictment or support of Diddy. It's more about us. There's no getting around that video of him smacking Cassie around in the hotel. There's no getting around that. None of their charges have been that. That's what's bogged out. That's bugged out to me. The feds can bring criminal charges even if you have a settlement. I want y'all to understand that. If it was really about victims, why are they not also adding to those charges? He assaulted Cassie. Because your settlement has, for a civil matter, right? That stops it there on a state level. But feds can say, we don't give a shit. We're subpoenaing you, Cassie, to testify. And that's great for your civil thing, but this is something different and this is criminal. But they didn't charge him with like the violent assault that he had on Cassie, which is what's making me question some of this shit. I don't ever fall victim. If somebody paints somebody as the worst person in the world, I'm going to immediately go to, if the government and the media are in alignment with this, right? If they're in alignment with that, nobody is worse than the United States government. Nobody. So I'm going to stop back and go, wait a minute. What do we know that's true? What can we prove? What is hearsay? What is sealed indictments? What is something we don't even know if you're not in the courtroom? And if the courtroom starts to become very, very quiet and nobody can go into the courtroom, I start questioning other shit. This man says, I want to give up $50 million a home and all of this other stuff. Early reports are saying that the dude knew a month and some change ago and started getting his things in order they surprised him on the arrest, but he knew that he was going to be charged. Okay, cool. If that's the case, right? Why they're saying, oh, he surrendered his passports, all of them. No, he didn't get any assault charges. He surrendered all of his passports. His mom, the girl he dating, the women, the children, all the way up to the 1-year-old baby. All of their passports are surrendered. He agreed to say, I'm going to put up the $50 million in the bond for me to fight this, and I'll be restricted to New York and Florida. Miami, my Miami home, and New York to do business and come to court. I will not have any engagement with any women, and I'll agree to all of that, almost like a more relaxed, what's it called? House arrest. And the judge says, no, he poses too much of a threat. How? You know who he is. If he already in his shit for coercion, he ain't going to do that again. He's only going to be in New York in this. Why is that? Who does that judge have a relationship with? And all I'm saying to you is you got to question. I'm not saying that it is always a conspiracy. I'm saying you got to use your brain to ask these questions. You got to use your brain. So all of these things happen. There is no assault charges. I mean, like assault on like Diddy. On Cassie. We saw that. If the feds were really about that, they would, okay, roll her up in that too. And they might ask her to roll her up and not even charge him for what he did to her. Do not trust the government. Ask questions. Why did this all start happening right after the Diageo debacle? This does not mean that he's completely innocent. This means that you recognize that a Department of Justice, an FBI, a governmental body can be weaponized, and highly powerful and connected people can do that. I don't ever want it to only just be this person. You can't get me to talk all of this shit about Diddy when I don't know all of the information. None of us do. I got a decent amount of information, right? And I'm open to saying he might have fucked up, and it looks like he did a lot of that wild shit. Ego, hundreds of millions of dollars, 30-year hot streak, can't be, all right, it's not too far-fetched. But you want me to have that conversation, but this same federal motherfuckers have not figured out an issue as it relates to Jeffrey Epstein's murder. The two guards that was supposed to be there just weren't on call. The camera footage from the Epstein camera area where his cell was, the video camera just magically, oh, it's messed up. Where is the FBI on that conversation? And this does not mean we let Diddy slide if Diddy did it. We start to have to ask questions about where's that same energy? Where's that same energy? And all of these things start to look a little bit strange and robust. And this is a conversation that we have to make sure that the people are being consistent in our evaluations. Guys, new people that's tapping in, hit the like button. Let's make sure we're sharing the stream. We're going to go for about maybe 10 or 15 more minutes. If you guys got any questions, please ask the questions. Real quick, I want to interject again real quick, guys. For again, the new folks that's tapping in, we are now at 205 people. This is great for our first episode. Let's get the likes up. Everybody hit the like button. Everybody hit the like button. Everybody hit the like button. If you say you fuck with our work, we're trying to get this YouTube and all of this stuff that we need to talk about and get the minds of the people right. That mindset is everything. Asking people to think things through and look at things a little bit way. That's my skill set. And we need to spread that to more people. You help with that by hitting that like button. Okay? Very important. Let's see what Simply Deep says. Simply Deep says, big time people who went to those parties and freak offs knew what kind of BS he was on and probably helped him. 1,000%. What's up, Cannon Hotep? How you? 1,000%. Deep, you can ask whatever questions you want. Okay? 1,000%. And we got to ask those questions. And again, we got to look at federal agents. Where is the conversation? There is not one person. Ghislaine Maxwell is incarcerated. Jeffrey Epstein is presumed dead. Does anybody know where he was buried? Does anybody know where Jeffrey Epstein was buried? Somebody tell me in the chat. Somebody in the chat tell me Jeffrey Epstein is buried here. It's weird to me. Did anybody see Jeffrey Epstein's funeral? I didn't. I'm not saying you didn't have one. I'm saying I didn't see it. Did anybody see Jeffrey Epstein's funeral? Okay? Outside of that, you federal agents and FBI have had years to focus on who killed Epstein. Yo, y'all want to make it a suicide. Where's the footage? So y'all can go. Who are the people that Ghislaine Maxwell is in jail for being the madam and selling these children to? Who are those people? Who are those people? OG Tank said they buried him on the island. Surprised Ghislaine Maxwell is still alive. I get it. Cannon Hotep said everyone knew what was up. The question is, who did Diddy cross? Who did he owe? It's a legitimate conversation. Again, my theory, Grumpy Gnome, what's up? My theory is this. Right after he got into it with Diageo, that wine and spirits mega brand, that he was like, yo, this Ciroc money ain't, y'all doing something. Y'all promoting me different. Right after that, that civil argument that he had and suing them, right? All of that shit turned into a conversation around criminal cases. And that's a problem. That's a question to me. It's a big question mark. It's a big question mark. And I did not have that conversation for a very long time. Okay, Simply Deep says this. Maj Toure. I'll answer that in the question, Simply Deep. The question that we genuinely have to ask is, why is it that right after that situation went from civil with Diageo to criminal this way? This is the same thing that happened to Bill Cosby a few years ago when he wanted to buy, I think it was NBC. Do not take that type of shit off the board. Right after Bill Cosby wanted to buy NBC, his son got murdered. Remember that? Then all of these cases come out where all of these adults that were doing consensual things. And Bill Cosby said it. Yeah, we all took drugs. We were taking Quaaludes. That was the number, that was the thing to take at the time. Very important, guys. Very, very important. Hold on 1 second, guys. Communicate amongst yourself real quick. I got some stuff on the stove. Give me 1 second, guys. My bad, solutionaries. Won't happen again. My bad, guys. My point in saying all of this, guys, is this. You guys have to think more logically about this. We have to have a more logic conversation as it relates to this. We have to. Super Weapon says the Cosby news is new information. Did not hear that his son and him wanting to buy the news channel. Google it. His son's name was Ennis. I think Innis. Okay? Ennis. Okay? Somebody else said, won't be surprised if somebody hired and Diddy allowed him to do all of this criminal stuff until somehow Diddy pissed him off and now Diddy has to pay. Listen, I'm not upset and I don't think that that's crazy. Majestic Allah says, why do they always paint black men as the sexual deviant? King Muhammad says, business is warfare. Canon Hotep says, Epstein laid back somewhere chilling on some redacted island. I never saw his funeral, nor did I see his gravesite. If somebody in the chat, tell me if you've seen where Jeffrey Epstein, his funeral, or where he was buried. The story just disappeared. Okay? These are the things that we have to question. And this does not mean that we're saying, yeah, we're okay with sex trafficking. Yeah, they deserved it. No, that's not what that means. We're adults that can have layered and contextual conversations. And it's very important that we do. Because when you don't and you allow somebody to throw a patsy out there, you know, the red herring, you look over here, not over here, sleight of hand, the bigger criminals start to continue. Why the fuck is Podesta and that pizza spot down there not on everybody's conversation still? Power of media. These are questions that we just got to ask, guys. I'm just saying this is what's happening. And look, Majestic Allah says they're slowly dropping Harvey Weinstein's charges. They are, and it's not in the media, so don't nobody tap in. Guys, if you're just coming into the stream, we got 213 folks in here. Hit the like button. Let's get the likes up, guys. Share this. If you're watching on Twitter, X. If you're watching on YouTube, Rumble, whatever that is, share this live. Share it. Again, you're watching Solutionary. I want to chop it up with y'all every day at 6 p.m. Eastern. Every single day. We're going to talk about politics. We're going to talk about pop culture. We're going to talk about solutions. All right? And saying in which we're going to switch over to this Russia thing. We're going to come back to the Diddy thing. But I want to read something to y'all real quick. And I bet y'all didn't know this. All right? Ukraine drone attack triggers huge blast at Russian ammo depot. The explosions in Toropets in the Tver region were so intense that they were picked up by NASA satellites and earthquake monitors. Okay, let me read this for y'all. A Ukrainian drone attack on a Russian missile facility early Wednesday threw up towering fireballs visible from space and thundering detonations that triggered earthquake monitors. Even by the standards of this incendiary conflict, video showing the blast north of Moscow was remarkable. Officials on both sides said it was the result of a large Ukrainian drone attack on Toropets, a town in the Tver region of around 230 miles from the Russian capital. Russian state media has previously reported that the military was building an arsenal for storing missiles and other explosives there. Speaking to reporters early Wednesday, Tver Governor Igor Rudenya said that all drones in the region were shot down and there was a fire on the ground and as a result of debris from a downed drone. As he spoke, loud explosions could be heard in the background. Rudenya said he ordered a partial evacuation of the surrounding area, and state media reported that schools and kindergartens had been shuttered while firefighters worked to snatch the blazes. He later announced that people could return to their homes and said all utilities in the region were working. 13 people were taken to hospitals in moderate condition, Russian news agencies reported. The fires were so intense that they were picked up by NASA satellites while the explosion was recorded as a 3.2 magnitude earthquake by the Norwegian monitoring agency NORSAR. Source in the security services of Ukraine confirmed to NBC News that its drones had wiped off the face of the earth, quote, wiped off the face of the earth, a large warehouse of the main missile and artillery department of Russia's military, end quote. The source, requesting anonymity because of the sensitivity of the operation, says Iskander, Tokta, and KAB missiles were all being stored there. The source said the attack was part of Ukraine's attempt to, quote, methodically reduce the missile potential of the enemy with which it destroys Ukraine cities. Now, I'm going to jump back to that in a second, guys. I'm going to jump back to that in a second. But let me say this. This is another reason why I didn't want to have a conversation so much about Diddy. Now, we got to always, we solutionaries. If you in this group, if you in this stream daily from now on, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern, X, Rumble, YouTube, you a solutionary. And if you're a solutionary, you're going to have a conversation about something and you're always going to turn it into a solution. So the solution with the Diddy thing is the ladies especially, and gentlemen, because it looked like they saying Diddy was up in some of the man yams too. The lesson for you is you should be making sure that you have a solid understanding of situational awareness, how to protect your drinks, not to putting yourself in certain scenarios, and definitely being armed or have the means to defend yourself. That's what we get from that Diddy situation. We also get from that Diddy situation, the government ain't there to fucking help. The government's not there to make you feel comfortable and actually protect you. And everybody that hears this, they like, the government tapped in after a while. The rumors about Diddy and them parties was going on for 30 years. Okay? So we got to recognize that we got to be our own first responders. And the best way to respond is to not even be there in the first place. That's situational awareness and understanding imminent threat. Again, the class is tomorrow night. So that's why I didn't want to have this conversation about Diddy unless I could turn it into something that's beneficial for us, beneficial for y'all. The reason is because of this Ukraine and Russia story. There were nuclear, they evacuated that city because there was an argument that there may be small nuclear arms there. Russia is a nuclear power. We're talking about Diddy from a non-solution-based perspective. When the Fed is talking about we might have to cut the interest rates for these reasons, your dollar. We're talking about Diddy when just a few days ago, how many people in the chat, give me a show of hands or comment something in the chat if you heard about that Russian armory that got blew up. Most people have no idea that that should even happen. We are still this close to fucking World War III and nuclear war. That facility was said to maybe housing nuclear armament, small nuclear weapons. That's why the explosions were seen from space. Satellites picked it up, and the Norwegian versions of what we call the Richter scale in America, the earthquake reading situation, it registered a 3.2, and it was not an earthquake, meaning the explosion made those meters feel like the earth was moving. And then when that governor over there goes, we got to evacuate. We're not evacuating generally for explosions. We evacuate when there may be some Chernobyl shit happening. This is happening while the conversation is happening about Diddy. So it's my job as the solutionary is to make sure that we're talking about all of these things, and they all need to come with, what are the solutions? What do we do? Okay? Majestic Allah says New York is only 4,500 miles away from Russia, and they have missiles that could reach. Hypersonic missiles, they have those, especially China. Guys, we got to be on point. We have to make sure that daily we are tapping into these screens to talk about, yeah, we can talk about some pop culture shit, but we got to talk about politics too. We got to talk about what are we doing to make sure that we're arming ourselves and protecting ourselves from the silly shit. Okay, guys? What are we doing to make sure that we are not caught with our heads in the sand? We're talking about Diddy from the perspective of did he do it or did he not, as opposed to a deeper conversation of how can we protect our communities and our family. And unfortunately, even that conversation is somewhat of a subterfuge, okay? Somewhat of a subterfuge from bigger issues. Putin said, hey, I'm good. When Trump was in, I'm good. Just please don't have NATO trying to make Ukraine be a part of NATO. I won't annex them and bring them back into the Soviet Union, Russia, unless this happens. And that's the first thing that Biden and them do as soon as he gets in. Maybe that's tied into the reason why BlackRock and other companies that stand to make a whole bunch of money when they destroy, certain areas, right, and rebuild those areas in Ukraine, maybe the money flow won't happen the same if Trump's there. So maybe that ties into why a few days ago there was an explosion found in New York before Trump's rally. Did y'all hear about that? Explosives. Then a few days before that, second person was about to try to shoot him in Florida. And then last month, somebody shoots at him in Pittsburgh. So maybe these things are connected. Maybe Maj is a conspiracy theorist. Who knows? But my point is, we got to at least evaluate these things. And we got to, anything that shows up in the mainstream narrative is pushing it. We question it. We apply it. We discuss it if we can tie it to a solution. The solution for this Diddy conversation is if you're a male or a female, you better be understanding what understanding imminent threat is. Take the class. We have a whole 2 classes focused to that. Okay, that's 1. 2, the conversation around Russia. Again, nobody's saying anything. I want everybody to tell me, if you in the chat heard about that Ukraine blowing up a Russian ammo depot. Let me read some of that. Some more of this. The video, geolocated and distributed by Reuters, was consistent with 200 to 400 tons of high explosive detonating. George William Herbert, who teaches at the Middlebury Institute of International Studies at Monterey in California, told the news agency. Russia's air defense systems destroyed 54 drones launched overnight against 5 Western Russian regions, Russian state news agencies said, citing a report from Moscow's defense ministry. Since its invasion in February 2022, Russia has been raining missiles on Ukraine, destroying sites such as schools, hospitals, and apartment blocks, while maintaining it does not target civilians. Kiev has increasingly been hitting back with drone attacks on what it says are military targets all over Russian soil. However, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky is pushing the U.S. and other allies to lift restrictions that prohibit his using powerful, long-range Western weapons to strike deeper into Russia. Fuck you, dude. That's not our fight. That's the so-called elites. And I don't even, the scumbags that hide through politics. That's their fight, not ours. That's where they launder their money. Keenan Muhammad says, I didn't hear about it, but I am looking it up now. Bruce Field said, I didn't hear about the Russian armory attack until you mentioned it tonight. But we all, and I'm not saying this in a negative way, but the TV is all making us just talk about Diddy, not in a solution-based thing. They want to use that as a further division, arguing they deserved it. Them chicks knew what was up. No, they did. Never to say, hey, that happened to them. We don't know the whole story. More details will come out. What can we do as a community to make sure that this isn't happening? When you see somebody in your community on that type time, call them out. Stop them. That's one way to have that Diddy conversation. The next thing is, what is happening in world politics that this is the main conversation? Nobody in the chat knew that this situation was happening 2 days ago in Russia. There was a small chance that they may have been storing a nuclear weapon at that location. This is important, guys. Guys, we're going to start wrapping up. I want to thank you all for tapping in for tonight's first episode of Solutionary. Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. we streaming. Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern, we streaming. YouTube, Rumble, X. We're having these conversations. They solution-based. I don't know what the topic will be tomorrow. Have no idea. It might be something that I think about tonight. It may be some goofy shit that happens tonight. I'm putting place of my money on Diddy might not make it out of motherfucking jail. For whatever reason, they ain't give him no, I mean. Simply Deep says, okay, cool, I want your opinion on this. What's my opinion on movies that show men in embarrassing situations that'll get you clowned, and how would you handle these situations in real life? I'm never going to get clowned. If I express my love, my feeling, my whatever, that should only work if what you say to me back, like, hurts me. That's it, right? But television is 1000% trying to take the masculinity away from men. They 100% trying to make men only look like all of the TV shows. The father's like a doofus, like a doofus. And I get being loving and supportive to your daughters and your girl and all that other type of shit. I get that. But a doofus, nah. So no, I don't watch those shows that do that. Like, I don't watch Family Guy because Cleveland's a clown. I definitely never watch Cleveland, right? The shows where the father is an absolute clown, not into it. And if you notice, they switch it. Al Bundy was the quintessential man's man, had a blue-collar job, had a beautiful wife, family, grumpy, but whatever, paid his bills, whatever, stayed with his wife, whatever, right? When he got on the Modern Family, he had that same energy the first couple of seasons. Then towards the end of the seasons, they made him soft as shit, had his little cute puppy and all of that, da-da-da. He was damn near like his gay son. And I'm not arguing that people can't be gay, do whatever you want, but there's definitely a media attempt to make all of the masculine figures feminine. They want to turn the men into women and the women into men. So that's my answer on that. That's my answer on that. So Terry Renee says, this current with Diddy is a distraction from what's happening around the world, period. If you cannot talk about something that's pop culture and tie it back into a solution that strengthens you, your family, your community, don't talk about it. The only reason why I talked about this Diddy thing is because to expose to everyone, the federal government is not the good guys here. They're not. Sorry, guys. And I got that video up on the YouTube channel. Make sure you guys comment and share on all of that. Now, guys, listen. I want you all to do me a huge favor. Huge favor. If you got something from this, we're able to keep the content going because of you guys' support. You guys know the work that we do at Black Guns Matter. You guys know the work that we do at the Solutionary Center and the classes abroad, the Solutionary Lifestyle work. See that link right there, right under me right now? GiveSingo.com/solutionary. There's 240 people in here right now watching. Imagine if 200 of you gave $5. Donate, guys. Donate. Somebody put, matter of fact, I'm going to put it in the chat right here so you guys can just hit the link. Okay? Here is the link. There's the link, guys. That is the link there. GiveSingo.com/solutionary. It's in the chat. It's a hypertext in the chat. Donate towards the work. I can take more time to talk about pop culture issues and hip hop and politics and turning it into a solution and talking about world's, politics and things that we should be looking out for. I can do that if we don't have to fundraise as hard. So every day I'm going to ask you guys to donate towards the work. If you got some super chats, give the super chats. Every single thing that you guys do that is in alignment with supporting the work makes it easier for us, and it makes us able to do more work. So if every day we tapping in on here, we doing the super chats, we doing all of this other stuff, you guys are donating towards the work, we can continue to do more of this content, because I would love to talk to y'all every single day, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. on all of these different platforms. But this has to happen with you guys' support as well. And for everybody that has supported, thank you tremendously. I obviously will save this live. It'll be there. Share it all over the place. GiveSingo.com/solutionary. Let's give me a show of hands. If you're willing to donate at the $10 level, just say, yo, Maj, I got $10 on it, or whatever it is. Comment in the section. Simply Deep. What? Somebody walks in on you and you're late. That's TV. TV's going to do that. TV's always going to make that silly, like funny, not funny thing. They're always going to do that. That's what TV does. That's their job is to be salacious. Our job is to discern the difference between what's real and what's not. So I don't really put that much attention into it. I see it and I go, oh, Matrix trying to get us to be weak. Matrix is trying to get us to be weak. Guys, if there's no more questions, I'm going to get out of here. I appreciate you all for tapping in. I will see you all tomorrow, 6 p.m. Make sure you guys follow on all of the platforms, youtube.com/Maj2Ray, rumble.com/Maj2Ray, on X, Maj2Ray999. Go over to solutionaryuniversity.org. Sign up for the Understand Imminent Threat class, which is tomorrow, as well as donate. Support the work so we can keep this content going and keep the work going. Appreciate you all. Be safe. Be solutionary.